Yes. Yes. Thank you for that very tepid response. I'm so delighted you can join us. I hope you're all enjoying your muffin bucket. You know, I drive past the Javits Center almost every day on my way to work, and I always think to myself, geez, I should really stop in there. I wonder what their breakfast is like. Muffin bucket. It's always nice to have a breakfast that you can put in a pile. You know, this neighborhood is actually, I don't know if are most of you from out of town? It's our finest. If you get a chance around midnight. It's actually, this neighborhood has come a long way. It used to be known for prostitution. Anyway, let's get to my book. Just kidding. This is the adult book breakfast, is that correct? So things could get awfully frisky in here with booksellers. You know, I was reading the New York Times. Garrison Keillor had an op-ed, said the publishing industry was dead, and I thought, oh, great, I don't have to get up early tomorrow. But, you know, honestly, I think the most surprising thing about the Garrison Keillor op-ed is that I thought he was dead. So I was delighted. But I hope you all take his criticisms to heart. I think no one understands cutting-edge medium like a man who does written radio plays in a fictitious town. Although certainly the publishing industry does face challenges. I actually heard one person say, just browsed the muffin bucket and said, you know what, I'll just order it off Amazon. We are delighted to have you here. You have a program. I'm not even sure you people deserve this program today. You have a program, Dr. Condoleezza Rice, Jon Grisham, Mary Roach. Give a round of applause for the program that you were about to see, that you were going to hear, the delight. It's remarkable. Really a nice thing. I'm going to talk a little bit. I have a book that I am going to obviously finish. It is being published in, where's Jamie Robb? It is being, what is we call it in the industry, the drop date. September. So it has to be done clearly by then. Because there's a process. You print it and then obviously bind it. And they have, I think, a team of underage Malaysian slaves. Where is that done? Is it done in a sweatshop or is it? It is done in there. All right. So, all right. And then she obviously has to go through it and remove all references to anything Walmart. I'm sorry. The last book was called America, the book. And as you know, I completely agree. And it revolutionized the way that people make things up about the history of this country. Well, what we've done is we have decided to create a new book in the exact same style because we didn't have any other ideas. And it's called Earth, the Book. And what it basically is the summation of the totality of human existence. And I believe it's 224 pages. It is basically how we got here, what we did when we were here, and how we are leaving. And I'm not going to give it away. But it's pretty spectacular. If I may, maybe I'll read a little something. This is basically just a quick passage from the science chapter. true? Yeah. Okay. But what we're going to do today is basically I'm going to introduce each author. They are going to speak to you for their allotted time, and then we're going to do a quick Q&A, because, you know, how often do you get to Q? And we certainly enjoy A-ing. So we will do that. You will have an opportunity to speak. We will have an opportunity to be dismissive, and we'll move it along from there. But again, we are delighted you could join us this morning, and we hope that you've had an excellent time here, and the boat show comes in it too, so get the hell out. Our first author was the 66th United States Secretary of State and the first black woman to hold that office. I am not particularly familiar with her work, but I hear good things. So I'm delighted to introduce to you Dr. Condoleezza Rice.
Good morning, and thank you, John, for that stirring introduction. I greatly appreciate it. Well, I am delighted to join you this morning to talk a little bit about the book that I've been engaged in writing since I left Washington. It's very nice now to be out of Washington, because I can get up every morning and I can read the newspaper and I don't have to do anything about what's in it. So I've had time to write a book, and in deciding what book to write, I go back to the last days of my time in Washington after 8 years, and as you might imagine, one starts to reflect on the experiences and the opportunities, the challenges, the dilemmas that you faced. And I thought that most certainly I would write a book about the last 8 years in the crucible times since 9/11. And indeed, I will write that book. But as I thought about my own personal implausible journey from Birmingham, Alabama to ultimately Secretary of State, I was a bit preoccupied with a question that everybody always asks me, which is, how did this exactly happen? And indeed, I had a picture on my dresser of a little girl with pigtails who's missing her 2 front teeth, sitting with her father. I'm about 5 years old in that picture, and I did from time to time ask myself, how did that little girl ever become Secretary of State? Well, the answer is you had to know Jon and Angelina Rice, my parents, in order to answer that question. And so this is a book about them, and it's a book about my life with them and the influence that they have had on who I've become. In short, my parents were extraordinary, ordinary people. My mom was a school teacher. My dad was a Presbyterian minister and later a university administrator, and before that he was a high school guidance counselor. I would doubt that they ever made between them more than $60,000, but there was no opportunity that could even remotely be described as an educational opportunity that I didn't have. That's because my parents were people who believed very much in the transforming power of education, and they believed that education was armor against everything that could happen to you, that it gave you control over your circumstances, or at least over how you responded to circumstances that you couldn't control. Now, they came to these ideas, they were bred to these ideas by parents, their own parents, my grandparents, who also believed in that transforming power of education. My mother and all of her brothers and sisters were college educated, but it really goes back to my grandfather on my father's side, John Wesley Rice Sr., who was a sharecropper's son in Utah. That would be E-U-T-A-W, I'm not kidding, Alabama.